July 1st edition of the Carolina Weather Video. I'm meteorologist Matthew East, and the first thing I want to start off with is discuss Alex's landfall and show you some pretty neat images of that landfall. First of all, here's the radar loop from Brownsville, the NEXRAD radar site right on the southern edge of that radar. That is Alex when it was making landfall yesterday evening. Landfall occurred around 10 or 10:30 Eastern time. That's when that eye began to cross onto the shore of northern Mexico. And Alex was officially listed with 105 mile-per-hour winds at the time of landfall, and the pressure got all the way down to 947 millibars. So that makes the wind, the classification of wind, that makes Alex a Category 2 hurricane at landfall. The pressure is very low, obviously, at 947 when it made landfall. And Alex is now the strongest June hurricane since Hurricane Audrey back in 1957. This was a neat shot here of the what we call the stadium effect. You can see the eye wall. This is one of those three-dimensional perspectives here from the GR Level 2 Analyst Edition software. And what you're looking at is half of that eye wall there after Alex moved inland. And that's when the hurricane hunters fly in, and they mentioned the stadium effect. That's what they're seeing, is essentially the big buildup of the eye wall all around. And that is half of that eye wall of Alex once it moved inland. So really a neat system to follow. Alex was rapidly strengthening in its last 5 to 10 hours before landfall. And Alex was certainly on its way to becoming a major hurricane had the landfall not occurred right when it did. The pressure was very low. The winds would have caught up to that pressure in time if it had a little more time over water. So thankfully for the people being affected by Alex, it did hit land when it did. Now Alex, a huge inland flooding problem in northern Mexico and in Texas especially. All right, let's check that radar, and you can see all the rain from what's left of Alex there back in the Rio Grande Valley. And there's been some showers and storms around the coastal plain of the Carolinas early today, but that is slowly sagging south and east and getting farther away. Now, these are the dew point temperatures. These are 4 a.m. dew points, and we're going to see those dew points really dropping here today. This is the 55-degree dew point line, and we're going to see those dew points, those drier dew point temperatures off to the north moving in. Here's the upper air pattern today, big trough along the eastern seaboard. And so it's just going to be really terrific around here. Highs today and tomorrow, only low to mid-80s. And the humidity decreasing today. Tomorrow it'll be a very low humidity day. Probably a lot of 40s for dew point temperatures for our Friday. So let's get into the modeling. This is the GFS, and that drier air moving in. Big Canadian high pressure in the Great Lakes region. So like I mentioned, low to mid-80s today. A lot of sunshine, sunny, and low to mid-80s tomorrow. And both tonight and tomorrow night, I think there'll be some Piedmont spots dipping into the upper 50s for low temperatures. Really delightful stuff here as we start July. Saturday looks great, although it'll begin to warm up a bit, probably mid to maybe some upper 80s. Saturday, still low humidity, and then for the 4th of July on Sunday, highs up around 90, but still pretty low levels of humidity. So for all the fireworks displays or whatever outdoor plans you have, Sunday or Sunday evening, still low humidity. Evening temperatures Sunday falling through the 80s and eventually into the 70s. Now, we'll begin to get a little warmer and muggier next week. As we get into Monday, probably low to maybe some mid-90s, and it's getting a little more muggy with time. Same deal there on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I guess all good things, or at least most good things, come to an end, and certainly the break from the heat and the humidity will be nice, but it won't last long. It is, of course, July, in fact, so you know we're going to get at least some degree of heat and humidity back in place. The European really goes nuts with the heat next week. It's had a pretty significant warm bias, though, in that medium range, so I think odds are it's a little overdone with the heat, but I do think next week we'll get back into some 90s and we'll get back into some higher humidity levels as well. All right, that's it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful Thursday. Enjoy this great weather, and God bless.